Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo, and this for my forever co-host Jump. Sorry, I'm a bit tired, but yeah, we're gonna finish our another action lineup with Star Trek '09. Since we did John Wick and we did Ant-Man 3, I decided you know what, how about some sci-fi action, and this fits the bill perfectly. Before I really start, or we get really into the plot, what was your introduction to Star Trek?
This. This is my introduction to Star Trek. I knew nothing. I didn't try Star Trek Voyage or something like that, or any of the Picard ones. I tried. I really did. Just couldn't get into it. Space drama besides Gundam wasn't really my thing.
Alright.
Yeah. But when I saw this, though, I was like, oh my god, is this what Star Trek was like? But that's what Star Trek is like in J.J. Abrams' eyes.
Yeah.
So, oh, cool, that's so cool. And you get this, young buck, hot-headed, Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Instead of the space, final, frontier kind of guy, you know? I don't know, we get a good line of actors here with, Gamora and Spock. I don't even know the guy from Spock. I'm so sorry.
You forgot the guy from Heroes? Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto. I didn't watch Heroes.
Oh, okay.
It was one of the Fox things that I was like, okay, I think I'm done.
You know what? This is my introduction too. Because I was always a Star Wars guy for most of my life. And I caught this for one New Year's party, and I was like, huh. This is pretty good. I only caught the half of it, so I'm like, I should learn the schedule for Star movies and catch it when I can, because I really enjoyed the half that I saw. And then I've watched a few of the series. I'm trying to get into the Picard show, not the new one, but the old one, Next Generation, and the most recent Star Trek. And it's a bit hard to follow, but I'm liking it. I just never watched the original. By the way, we've never seen the original Star Trek, so have mercy on our souls, I guess.
I don't care what you're gonna come at me with.
Sure. What a correction. But yeah, this is directed by J.J. Abrams. He would go on to direct The Force Awakens, and I guess this is the project that gave him Star Wars. Funny enough.
Yeah, I believe so. Fuck. This came out in 2009.
Yeah.
I remember, and I was like, I after seeing the trailers, I was like, I need to watch the movie. I really do. I still remember that was a time when we still had Toy Kingdom and SM, the really big.
Yeah.
If y'all don't know what SM is, it's like our mall.
Yeah. 2009 is an interesting year for movies. We had District 9, Avatar, Terminator, Salvation, which you like. And then we had bad ones like X-Men Origins Wolverine. So 2009 is a very interesting year for movies, at least. But getting right into it, you open up in space and there's this ship responding to an anomaly in space. And that anomaly is a very big ship coming out of a storm. And this ship is the USS Kelvin, and one of the crew members is Chris Hemsworth, who will become the biggest star out of all of them.
After seeing that, I was like, that doesn't look like the guy from the trailer.
Right? So I thought
it kind of does.
It kind of does, but you're he kind of sounds off. And he's not...
kind of Australian.
Yeah. And then there's attacked by the big ship, and then there's summoned by Nero, who's played by Eric Bana. And the captain's lured, and they ask him where Ambassador Spock is, and he's like, Ambassador Spock, what are you talking about? They're like, what year is this? And he gives them the star date, and the leader is just like, oh, shit. He gets mad and kills the captain, and then Chris Hemsworth has to take over. While he's doing that, his wife is in labor, and he thinks he has enough time, but the Romulans, I forgot the name. The Romulans take out their autopilot.
You're right.
Yeah. And he's like, well, shit, I can't leave the ship now.
Yeah. But he told everyone to like evacuate. He's like the one doing everything.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cool scene. I was like, wow. And the whole your father was a captain for only 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Until he gave his life for like, for your mother and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, and then before he goes, he and his wife decide on a name for his kid. He's like, I'm not going to call my kid Tiberius. Are you kidding me? We'll call him James.
I'm sorry, but I'm like, really? You had to go with the most vanilla name when you're like Tiberius. I'm like, damn. You know, like, you're just like, shit, that's a captain right there. It was like, James, okay? It's my neighbor. You know? Sorry to all the Jameses out there, but like, really, would you take the name Tiberius or James?
Yeah, but Jimmy. But yeah,
right?
After that, George Kirk slams into the ship, giving the rest of the people time to escape, and we go into, I guess, somewhere in the U.S. where you see a young Kirk and his love for fast things and destroying fast things at the same time. Like, is definitely gonna whoop his ass, poor guy.
No, it was like, I don't know if it was his dad. Wasn't it his like babysitter's card?
That's an angry babysitter, then.
Yeah, and especially if it's like this very old Stingray, I was like, damn, that's a shame. That thing was probably, depending on what year they're in, and they have that car. I'm guessing there's like a couple of 100 years into the future. This thing is probably 400 years old, or even more, and it's still running, and this fucking piece of shit crashes it. I'm like,
not a single scratch, and you're like, well, it's nothing more than a scratch.
Yeah. Also, how does a babysitter afford that? Because I know that a Stingray nowadays costs an arm and a leg. Like, or even all of them.
Maybe one in a bit. I don't know.
I don't fucking know what from future Vin Diesel. But yeah.
And then
yeah, he crashes it. But we also do get a
young Spock.
A really solid soundtrack by was it Beastie Boys?
Yeah.
Sabotage.
Yeah, I like that song a lot. Because of this movie, it's on my Spotify.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get young Spock, and we learn that Spock's mom is half human, and his dad is Vulcan, and the kids make fun of him for that. They're like, "Oh, your mom's human. You feel emotions." He's like, "Feel this, bitch."
Yeah. I do like what are they called again? Vulcans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that species because they're like they're very well like trained in martial arts at a very young age. I was like, these look like high level skills for little children. I guess they're that smart, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mother's played by Winona Ryder, and the father, I don't know.
Yeah, and he's like, if we depend on logic so much, Dad, why did you marry Mom? He's like, well, I was the ambassador to Earth, and it seemed logical. And you're like, that's an interesting choice of words. Like, how do you say that? Like, oh, why did you marry me? Because it's logical. Thanks, buddy.
Man was an expat, just like fucked around wherever he was.
Like, are you just ego to planet, collecting whoever? Anyway, but yeah, and then there's another time jump to the future where Spock is an accomplished student, and he's accepted to the Vulcan Science Academy, and he's like, you know what? I'd rather not, because one of the, I guess, head administrators like, oh, aside from your one imperfection, you're pretty good. You're a pretty great student. He's like, what's my imperfection?
You're a mom.
Your mom. He's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck y'all. I'm going to the academy, the space academy.
I like about Spock here is like he never. I don't think he ever resented his mom for being human.
Yeah.
Did he?
No.
Like he kind of just like, fuck you guys. She was a great person.
Yeah.
Good mom's boy. Yeah.
Unlike, I know people are attached to Leonard Nimoy, but like this is my Spock, and I can't really see any other future actor saying it. Him and Leonard Nimoy are like, these are the two Spocks forever and ever.
I think they are the only Spocks, but okay.
No, because like the new Star Trek show, there's a new Spock.
Oh.
Yeah. I think the show...
Get anybody who looks like the Beatles.
The Beatles? What?
Oh, he doesn't?
You know what? I won't question that. Why not? And then we go back to Earth, and Kirk is trying to get the first name of Uhura, who's played by Zoe Saldana, but a couple of other cadets get in his way, and he starts a fight. Thankfully, it's broken up by Captain Pike, and then we get the speech of like, your records are great. What's wrong with you, though? Why are you just wasting your time at bars trying to pick up chicks? It's like, I have no interest in doing anything else. I'm not interested in joining Starfleet. Then we get the speech of, your father was the captain for 12 minutes, and he saved 800 lives, and I dare you to do better. And you're like, oh. I think that's what got me into this movie, because you're like, fuck, that line is pretty fucking good.
It's really fucking good. I'm like, shit, I don't know. And then after seeing that, you're like, oh, alright, come to the, I want to show you the space station,
Yeah.
The Enterprise. Like, come to this location, and let's talk,
Yeah.
And he does it. My god, the spectacle in this movie, fuck.
Yeah, when he's just looking at the harbor, you're like, god damn, this movie, until now, looks pretty fucking epic.
Yeah, I say it aged pretty well. Like him with his future mind, looking at them. Fuck, what's wrong with my camera? It doesn't like my ring light for some reason.
Apparently.
Anyway. But yeah, like you're seeing that thing and it's being built on the spot. I'm like, no. Oh, like, I don't know. I just had hope for sci-fi from 2009 onwards. I was like, yeah, I think it's gonna look pretty good. With shit story sometimes, but it looks pretty great.
Yeah, more or less, a lot of future sci-fi movies still look pretty good. Like the Planet of the Apes trilogy, that still looks amazing.
I mean, District 9 looks good.
District 9, hell, I'll even give Avatar, because it still looks amazing.
I'll give Elysium, even though it's kind of like subpar sci-fi.
Yeah, but yeah, like he tells Kirk like, oh, you could be like an officer in 4 years, and he's like, I'll do it in 3, and then he rides off, and then you also meet Bones, played by Carl Urban, and I like how he's like, you don't know.
No.
Oh my god. I like how the clue to his name is like, oh, the wife took everything, left nothing but my bones. You're like, oh shit, you're McCoy.
Yeah.
And then we get...
I mean, as if we knew anything about the old Star Trek.
I did my homework, excuse me.
Alright. But yeah, we find out that's McCoy. I heard it from, like, my brother or something who actually kind of did look into Star Trek. He was like, oh, that's McCoy. He's like the medic. I was like, oh. Why is he drunk? Why is he saying cunt in the next few years? I
think this is my introduction to Carl Urban. And I was like, after this, I was like, I hope I see him more things, and he's one of my favorite actors now.
No, the thing is, we're like, this is our introduction to Carl Urban, like, fully being like, oh, that's him. Yeah. When we got introduced to him a long time ago, and we just didn't notice.
Yeah, in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And well, he had shorter hair here.
Yeah.
But yeah, cut forward to a few years, and Kirk is like doing what Kirk does, what he's known for. It's like picking up chicks while trying to practice for the Kobayashi Marutas. And like Uhura's excelling as well. I do like the scene of him trying to hide from her under her roommate's bed, and he's like, someone's under your bed, isn't he?
I was like, how'd you know? You could hear my breathing?
I think it's nice that you heard the Klingon distress call. She's like, bye. Good luck with your test. I'm kidding. I don't wish you luck, but bye.
Yeah. But yeah, he does pass the test.
Sure. Bye.
And then not the most conventional way.
Yes. And since it's designed by Spock, he's like, no, he cheated.
Oh, but that's the oddest thing, though. It's like, why would you make a simulation that's technically unbeatable? Then how does somebody pass?
Yeah, how does someone who doesn't use unconventional ways pass it? And like, for someone who relies on logic, you're not very logical right now.
It's that human side kicking in.
I know, right?
Yeah, he cheats, And the man doesn't even try to make it like subtle.
Yeah.
He cheats. He gets, I think, court-martialed.
Yeah, or like questioned by the academy, led by Tyler Perry. You're like, oh shit, it's Medea in another serious role.
Yeah.
But they have to respond to a anomaly in Vulcan, and they're all going aboard. And Kirk recognizes the science because that's the same thing that happened to his dad. And then he's trying to get on board, but they're like, you can't join because you're barred. You're under investigation. But Bones feels bad for him, so he brings him aboard the Enterprise. And then
Homies do.
Yeah.
Which is a very fucking funny scene, though.
Yeah. Like, he makes poor Kirk sick, and he's going through all these symptoms. Like, it is a nice way to also, like, do... What do you call this? To explain things without making it boring. You're just like, oh shit, Kirk's, like, bloating up. But he's explaining how the Enterprise works, what happened to his dad, what the storm is. You're like, oh, I'm learning at the same time. It's not like in the prequels where they just walk and talk, and then sit and talk, and then sit down and talk. You're like, my God, George Lucas.
Yeah, they're just like, okay. Yeah, it's a very quick and entertaining way of exposition. As they're going through, like, his hand's swelling up, his tongue's getting numb. And, like, they finally make it to the medical bay. I really liked this direction that they went, where they're like, he's all in black.
Yeah.
Man is technically the black sheep of the academy.
Yeah.
He has potential, but of course he's rough around the edges. He gets cured. And I love it that when he does take helm, and hey, spoilers ahead, but yes, Captain Kirk does become a captain eventually.
Yeah.
He still dons the black outfit, and he doesn't change into like a yellow shirt where it's the norm.
Yeah, it's only in the second movie and the last movie you see that.
Yeah, where it shows like he kind of grew up. Here, he's still the black sheep, but has responsibility.
Yeah,
like I like that.
And on deck you see the late great Anton Yelchin. I forgot the character's name for some reason, but yeah. And then you also see Spike from Cowboy Bebop, who his role was George Takei's role in the old Star Trek. Sulu and Chekhov. I do like Sulu starting up the engine, starting up warp speed, and it goes wrong, and Captain Pike is like, do you have the parking brakes on? He's like, no, I'm sorry, Captain. And then Spock corrects him. He's like, oh, thank you. And they just warp off.
Thanks, smartass.
Yeah.
Wait.
And then they appear in Vulcan. They see the rest of the fleet destroyed, and they're summoned by Nero. And then at the same time, Kirk's like, Captain, it's the same thing that happened to my father. And Spock is dismayed because he's like, you're not supposed to be here. Why are you here? And Captain Pike's like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the Romulan ship. Since you, Kirk, you're not supposed to be here. You come with me, and I'll drop you off the atmosphere because the satellite, the drill, is disrupting their signal. And like as he's going to the Romulan ship, they drop him, and Sulu drop, and another guy drop. And it's a cool scene because they're falling down. And you hear nothing at first. You're like, you know what? That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah,
like, this is the most realistic thing ever.
Out of atmosphere,
yeah,
and then they're in atmosphere.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I red? God damn it! I can't make sense. There we go. Anyway, but yeah, they're out of atmosphere. Then they're in atmosphere, and you start hearing like the wind going through their helmets.
Yeah.
And I love it where they're like, oh, so you know any martial arts? I was like, yeah. Fencing. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Really?
I hope you have a stick with you.
Yeah. And like the one guy who's like, no, I can open my chute at this time. You're like, I don't think he's gonna make it. He doesn't make it. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, poor Red Ranger got sucked into the drill. I'm like, alright.
Yeah. And then Sulu and Kirk land safely, but they're stopped by the Romulans. And you see Sulu's definition of fencing. I'm like, I wish I was taught fencing like that. That seems more useful.
I don't think that was fencing.
Yeah,
it's very odd, right? Like,
yeah,
like I don't do fencing, but I know that you don't fence with a samurai sword.
Yeah, or you don't do
And,
backflips on some guy's back. You're like, what? Or cartwheels. You're like, what the fuck?
I don't know. Just,
Unless you're like,
yeah,
oh,
that's not fencing.
unless some
That's all I
Star
know,
Trek
it's not
fan is like,
fencing.
oh, it's future fencing, then I guess I'm wrong.
I guess.
They do destroy the drill net, which brings back communications and the transporter online. The one sequence I do love is when Sulu and Kirk are falling, and Chekhov has to make the right calculations to bring them back to the Enterprise, and it's like a really tense scene. You're like, I know Kirk is the captain forever and ever. I'm not so sure about Sulu, and then they're rescued in the nick of time. We're like, oh, thank God.
That I again do love that where they finally appoint Chekhov to a proper job where they're like, oh wait, he can actually do it.
Yeah, and then Spock goes down to the planet to save the council and his mom, and then you think they're safe, and like the music gets more intense. You're like, I don't think they're going to make it. They're going to escape this fucking black hole that the Romulans have put in Vulcan, and you're like, for a while you're like, what's their beef with Vulcan? What's wrong? Why do they hate Vulcan so much?
I don't know, but it's just that one guy that they keep talking about, which is this Ambassador Spock guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah.
Spock loses his mom, and you're like, fuck, that's rough.
Oh yeah. Now that you mention it, we do get the set of the stone. Do we get the good, like, full picture of what this movie's trying to portray? And like at the beginning scene where it's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
We see people like the side of like the ship gets blown up, they get sucked out into the vacuum. I'm like, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see people like being blown up and shit, and now here we're seeing people get crushed by rubble. I was like,
yeah,
it's that kind of movie.
The fact that you don't
I love that.
see his mom's hand, but you like see on the screen like she's just being crushed by rubble. Like, oh no.
No, she didn't get crushed by rubble. She fell.
She fell, and you're like, oh shit, poor Spock. And they're in dire straits because Captain Pike's captured. They don't know if he's dead or not. And again, Vulcan is destroyed by a black hole from the inside out. You see it just get crushed from the inside. You're like, oh my god.
Look, people are saying that it's a rip-off Death Star, but I was like, this is way more creative.
It's a bit more terrifying too.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, again, you just see that thing just collapse on itself. I was like, how? And then it's just gone.
Yeah. And then Spock also tells him, like, because the Romulans have this technology, they can also move through space-time. And Bones is like, are you saying what I think you're saying? He's like, yeah. And because they're here, all of our destinies are different. And we're like, oh. But Kirk wants to go after the Romulans because they're going after all the other planets, and Spock's like, no, well, join with the rest of the fleet. And Kirk gets mad. He's taken off the bridge, but he fights back, and Spock just abandons him on some desolate planet. We're like, is that ethical?
I was like, is that allowed? No, because wasn't Pike like abducted?
Yeah,
or like he was taken into the Romulan ship. So Spock is in command.
Yeah, Spock
that's why
captain.
I think he can. But I think you could just put him in the brig.
Yeah.
But, nah, it was like, send him in to another, like, because he didn't do anything besides disobey orders. Put him in a nice planet.
Yeah. And then you find out later that McCoy's like, why do you do that to Kirk? I don't mean to question your orders, but you don't do that to your best stallion. He's like, that's funny. Because you're supposed to break your stallion before going into a race. And it's like, god damn it, man. You could have acted like it was a tough decision.
Wait, yeah. Wait, question. So was Spock gonna be like, okay, let's get him back? You know, like a dad trying to discipline a son back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Like, just leave him at a gas station.
Yeah. And then poor Kirk is chased by monsters left and right, and he's saved by Ambassador Spock, Leonard Nimoy. Like, I wish it had more gravity the first time I watched it, but now it kind of does. So we're like, oh shit, it's old Spock. And Kirk is confused because he's like, I have been and always will be your friend. He's like, but we're not friends, no offense. It's like, we are. You just haven't. We're just not there yet. Don't worry, we will be. And explains that in his timeline he tried to save the planet of the Romulans, Romulus, but he was too late. It was already consumed by a solar flare, and like that was the first time I was like, oh, that's what solar flares can do. Jesus Christ, I'm scared now.
I mean, I don't know if that's what. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. We always keep hearing like, oh, this.
Oh, no, solar flare, supernova, a Star One supernova.
Oh no, we saw that in Treasure Planet, so I know what the business is.
And he went back in time because of the red matter, but the Romulans came first, and he came in like, for them it was like 25 years. For him it was like only a matter of seconds. And they captured him and forced him to see the destruction of Vulcan, and he's like, well, I'm endangered. Fuck.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that part. Like Spock's species is in danger now.
Yeah. And old Spock takes him to the Starfleet base where they meet Scotty, who's played by Simon Pegg, and he is the first person to ever discover the transport abilities to transport someone from a base to a ship while it's on warp speed. And everybody thinks he's crazy, but Spock knows that, oh, this technology works. You just haven't found the means to do it, and he helps Scotty find the means. And Kirk's like, going back and
Go on.
going back and changing time, that's cheating. And he's like, well, I learned that from you.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, wait a minute. So if Spock's the one just telling him the cheat codes because he's already invented in his time, so does that mean Scotty never invented it? It was all Spock. So I'm like,
no, I think he's just like, just move this here, and I'll just sit back and relax.
okay.
Because Scotty is like, oh, I never thought that the thing I need to calculate is the fact that space itself is moving, because he thought it was still, while the thing, ship is on warp speed. Like, oh, okay, I got it. And he himself is able to do the calculations. But yeah, before they warp, Spock says the iconic line of live long and prosper, and they beam up back to the Enterprise. And before that, he's like, oh, there's a rule that says if the captain is emotionally compromised by the mission, he can no longer be the captain. He has to step down. And he's like, how do I make you feel things? He's like, well, I lost my species, my planet, and my mom, and I am emotionally compromised. You just have to push the right buttons. And they do that when they get back to the Enterprise, and they're brought by Spock, and he's interrogating Scotty, and Kirk's just like, how do you not feel the anger or sadness or the need to stop at nothing to avenge the woman who gave birth to you? It must not even compute for you. You feel nothing for this woman. You never loved her. And Spock just goes berserker like, damn.
I love the hits
Yeah.
that J.J. Abrams does in this movie, where I'm like, oh my god, get off of him! Like, even in the movie there, I'm like, wait, whoa. And you see, like, Kirk just, like, has a bloody nose, his eyes got swollen, I'm like, okay, shit.
He went into it knowing that it was a losing battle from the start.
Wait. Question. I don't remember how or why. Why did Kirk take up the mantle of captain?
Because Spock is emotionally compromised.
Yeah. But Spock didn't have a second in command.
Yeah, but
Why was Kirk chosen?
Because Captain Pike named him first officer.
Really?
Yeah, before he got onto the Romulan ship, he named him first officer.
Okay.
And Spock goes off, and then he has to get the pep talk from his dad of like, emotions aren't bad. We may not seem like we show them, but they're valuable. And again, I didn't marry your mom because it was logical. I married her because I loved her. You're like, oh, that makes more sense now. I do like
So
how
there is a little bit of humanity in you.
every time Uhura addresses Kirk as Captain, she's just like, I hope you know what you're doing, Captain. Like, oh, yes, I like this.
He was like, I hope so too.
I hope so too.
And he takes off the mantle. I was like, oh, that's so badass.
Yeah.
I really wish they kept the black clothes for the captaincy, but they didn't. Okay.
Yeah, again, character progression, but they do decide to rescue Captain Pike. At the same time, Spock decides to take the ship with the red matter to stop the Romulans and make it explode in their own ship. Because they're attacking Earth, and they're like, we can't have that. That's our Starfleet, and everyone else we love is in there. So they go on the ship, and they do fight the Romulans. And I do like how J.J. Abrams shoots action, for the most part in this movie. Despite the multiple lens flares, where they're like, ah, my eyes. Make it stop, please.
It's forgivable.
Yeah. I do like how Nero tells Kirk, like, Kirk was a great man in my timeline. That's not going to happen here. Because you're going to die by my hand. You're like, oh, shit. I hope Kirk makes it through.
Oh, fuck you. But yeah, we do get a good, like, shootout with Spock and Kirk when they, like, infiltrate the Romulan ship.
Yeah, and then when he gets to the ship with red matter, the computer's like, oh, welcome back, Ambassador Spock. Spock's like, what the hell? Are you not telling me anything? And Kirk's like, I don't know what's wrong with the ship.
Hey man, it's your ship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love that red matter. It's just a perfect sphere blob.
Yeah.
That's in like a, what do you call it? Like a tank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, interesting. That doesn't look volatile at all.
And after Spock destroys the drill, I like how Nero's kind of like Kylo Ren, where he wants to stop at nothing just to destroy this one little ship. He's like, but sir, our missiles, like, just fire everything. Like, oh, yes.
Yeah, that's where it came from. The fire everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then one Romulan who's like choking out Kirk is like, your species is so weak. And Kirk's like, he's like, I can't even understand you. He's like, I got your gun. He just shoots the big Romulan. Like, that's funny. He does rescue Captain Pike too. And then they're all beamed back to the ship. And then as the red matter is destroying the ship, Nero hails the Enterprise, and Kirk offers them, like, look, if you just ask for help, we'll help you. Then Spock's like, what are you doing? Like, I thought you would like this. He's like, not today. They're like, oh. And Nero's like,
yeah, and they're like being collapsed in by their own like wormhole.
And then Nero's just like, I would rather suffer the death of Romulus 1,000 times. I would rather die an agonizing death. And Kirk and Spock are like, okay.
Well,
bye-bye.
As long as you got your consent, ciao.
Bye. And then as they almost get sucked into the black hole too, but Scotty makes an explosion that propels the Enterprise back to safety. And then back at Earth, Kirk is awarded the role of captain of the Enterprise because Admiral Pike can no longer resume his duties. And everybody's like, Kirk's worthy of being captain, we all agree. And Kirk finally does what Captain Pike knew he was always capable of. And he did what Captain Pike asked.
You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Are you okay? You're like,
sorry, I blanked out for a bit. But yeah.
No, it's not good.
And I do love this character development. And then
again, it's just very much like underdog or kind of black sheep earning his like role in this universe of like, it's a pretty good first good movie for Star Trek. For me, is probably the best one from the trilogy. I do like the third one. I also do like the second one, but it's probably
really now. I do like Into Darkness quite a bit. The last one less so, but by the end you do see that Kirk has earned the iconic yellow shirt, and he's the captain now. And Bones is like, oh fuck, we're going to be in space forever. And I do like the conversation between new Spock and old Spock, where he's like, I lied to Kirk, and I told him if I met you that timelines would explode and the universe would die. And he's like, so you lied to him? Like, I motivated him in the right direction. It's like, son of a bitch.
That's called manipulation, but for the greater good, I guess.
Yeah. And then you just hear the closing, the iconic closing of all the Star Trek of space. The Final Frontier by Leonard Nimoy, the late great Leonard Nimoy. And they go off to space, and that's the end of Star Trek 2009. It's a pretty good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Like J.J. Abrams makes a really good first good movie. Sorry to say. I mean, Into Darkness is not that bad. But the first one's always the greatest one.
Yeah.
And this is a very rewatchable movie.
Yeah. I do love it quite a bit. Again, for the introduction to, newbies to the Star Trek franchise, I think this is a pretty good start. I don't know if I'll get violent reactions out of it, but, fuck it.
Nah, I agree. As a movie on its own franchise, questionable, for my opinion. If y'all like Star Trek, it's all good.
Yeah.
If you like Star Wars, that's also good. But for me, majority of its this franchise, I have not really fully explored. For me, I also don't probably not have the attention span because I didn't start, with like the old one.
Yeah.
I fully enjoyed this one. It's the one that was most action-packed, in my opinion, unless somebody can prove me otherwise in the comment section. But yeah, like, this is the most action-packed one. This is one that kind of glued me to my chair and just, like, I just wanted to watch it. And I really wish more Star Trek would be like this, with different characters in different generations, if they want to get, Sir Patrick Stewart to come back, but, like, in a J.J. Abrams kind of way.
Oh, like a younger version of Picard?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, without further ado, what would you rate Star Trek 09?
No, I'm gonna give this one a solid 9 out of 10. Like, I can't find any faults in it.
Okay.
I'm just giving it a 9 because, I don't know. Is it a perfect movie? No. But is it a good movie? Yeah. And I'm just sticking to the thing of 2009, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's freaking 9. But yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna stick to the theme too. I'll also give this a 9. I do enjoy this movie a lot. I do like all the characters, and it's a pretty good story. Like, the only fault I can think of is that Neo is not the best villain. Like, he's kind of just one-dimensional. Aside from that, the rest of it is pretty good. The effects still hold up, and even the music is pretty badass at times. Especially the theme, the overall theme for JJ's Star Trek. But yeah, 9 out of 10. And 9 out of 10. It's a pretty good movie. Maybe in the future, if we have the time or attention spans, we'll do the older Star Treks. And the newer ones going forward too.
Okay.
Who knows? But yeah, that's been our video on Star Trek 2009. If you want to see more of us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest moments. Spotify to hear us on the go. Individually, you can find me at Gandalfus1995 on Twitter. How about you?
Oh, you can find me at JomG_on Instagram. That is my account.
And before we end this video, as of the time of filming, we have reached 204 subscribers, and thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. I don't know what else to say. I am overwhelmed of this. Like, oh my God, we're here.
And the fact that it took us like 2 years to get to 100, and it took us only a couple of months to get to 200. So
yeah.
I can't wait for what's coming up next in the future.
Hell yeah. We'll do another special video once we reach 1K, so if you want to get to that, well, subscribe.
Hopefully it's not as degenerate as so maybe, I don't know, we might play like miniature golf or something, or off like a
I mean, there's still the 1 million where we skydive, so we have that.
Yeah, like if we reach 1 million subscribers,
a skydiving vlog.
So we'll do a skydiving.
Yeah, let's go. Anyway, we'll move to fantasy for the next lineup, and we'll be redoing a video that we didn't do the best justice for the first time we talked about it. So hopefully for this one, we'll do it way better. But until then, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody. I am committing to skydiving for 1 million.
Same here. I don't fucking care.